Thanks for joining me today. This is Diana from Spain and Iowa. Today I just wanted to show you how to actually shape your dough once it's already risen. So if you've been following my blog post, you should be at the stage where it is now time to shape the dough. And since it's so much easier to just visually show it and explain it than write it, is why I wanted to go ahead and include this video. So after the very first rise, this takes about 45 minutes, and you should know that it's done once you stick your finger in the dough and it doesn't bounce back. So since it doesn't, I know that it's completely done, and I'll just go ahead and take this dough out from the bowl. Now once you start doing this a couple times, it's pretty easy. It's not difficult at all. So the first thing I do is I just cut it right in half, and I separate that dough. So I should be left with just half of the dough. It's going to get me 2 different loaves. Okay. Now with my rolling pin, as the kids are fighting in the background, all I do is I roll it out to about 6 inches wide. One second. Go sit down, Nehemiah, when you're on time. I asked you to be quiet. Here you go. Sorry about that, but that is the reality of being a mom at home. So now that they're on timeout, if you look at your dough, you should have about 6 inches wide, which is usually the perfect size for a loaf of bread. Now, from what I've learned from Peter Reinhardt, what I do is, let me just go ahead and move this down a little bit so you can see it. I just start at the very end. Once it's 6 inches wide, it's in a rectangular shape, probably a good 10 inches long. I just grab the edge and I start to roll it down. Rolling down, I'm constantly tucking at the same time. That tucking is going to make a firmer loaf that rises up versus kind of squishing. So you can tell I'm constantly grabbing and rolling and pushing it down. When I get to the final log, you should get a log shape. I will just kind of flip it around and just kind of pinch the edges shut. And once I kind of pinch the edges, I'll just go ahead, bring it this way, and this is when I just kind of grab it and start tucking it under at the edges, kind of pinching along the sides as well, until I get this loaf shape, which ends up rising beautifully in my stone loaf pans. And my stone loaf pans are my favorite. Let me go ahead and grab one of those. No, Zeke. No, you're not going to eat syrup, Zeke. I'll get to you in a second, okay, baby? 1 second. We're going to have lunch here real soon, okay? So here is my stone loaf pan. So from here, what I do is I just add in some olive oil, extra virgin, to the bottom of the pan. And with my brush, I just go ahead and I brush that, making sure to hit all the corners. Okay. I do see a few little brush hairs in there. Not something I want my bread. Okay, so all I do is when it's like this, I do just go ahead and grab a knife, and this is just when I slice it, just because that's what I do. You don't even need to do that, but I just like how that kind of looks. And I just transfer it to my pan, and that's pretty much it. From here, I'll just go ahead and do my second one. So with my other loaf, I usually just shape it with my hands. I'll roll it out, looking for that 10 inches long, about 6 inches wide. You don't want it too wide. The dough feels great too. It feels nice and soft and supple, not too dry. You never really want that dry dough. That just equals more crumbs, denser bread. So starting at the top, I will then just start bringing that forward and rolling and tucking, making sure to get a nice, tall, tight, round roll. Once I get to the very end, I will pinch it. I should have this nice, tight little roll. And you can tell it's already a pretty big, nice loaf. And this should rise for about another 45 minutes. And once it hits that oven, it will have a nice spring, oven spring right there in the oven. So yeah, it's not too difficult. So with my other stone, I'll go ahead and put some more olive oil. Oops, I got a bit too much in there. But it's important just to make sure to oil that so that it pops out nice and easily. What I'll do with this extra oil as well, what I like to do is I'll go ahead and bring the other one that's in the pan already, and I do like to just go ahead and brush the top of the loaf with some additional olive oil. It keeps it nice and moist. Because one thing you don't want to do as well is let that dough dry out while it's rising, because that will cause different cracks and it's not a nice dough. So really that's about it. I just grab it. Wow, that one's already pretty nice and large. Slice into it. And just like your first rise, you'll now have 2 loaves of bread ready to be covered. I use that exact same piece of saran wrap that I used on the first rise. Place it over the top. This creates a humid environment, keeps it nice and wet, which is why I love to use the saran wrap. Just sometimes using just a regular towel to cover kind of makes it a little dry. This keeps the humidity in. It keeps it wet, it keeps it moist, it really makes it rise really well. And once I just kind of lay that on top, I don't, if there's still a little air leaking out, that's okay. I'm not one to just kind of grab it. So just kind of lay it on top and then just cover it and let that rise for 45 minutes. And that's it. I hope that helped. And good luck. It just takes practice. Thanks so much.